Greetings. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you doing well today, managing your day, finding some peace and ease in the midst of your life. I've been thinking a lot this week about wisdom and what it is to know the wisdom in the body. And there's such an innate intelligence here. And sometimes we go looking for wisdom and knowledge outside of ourselves. And there is a lot to be received outside from teachers and from experience, certainly. But then it's how that wisdom resonates and lives inside us. They say that the two wings of compassion are wisdom. The two wings of Buddhism are wisdom and compassion. And wisdom is the ability to see clearly what's happening, which means, we all have biases and preconceived preferences and ideas, but wisdom is seeing beyond that. This is the way things are. Things are the way they are. And compassion is to bring the heart, the quivering of the heart, actually, to whatever is here. And, in a life, whether it's our inner life and the outer life, there are joys and there are sorrows, and it's the natural ebb and flow. But we know that we are all interconnected, or as Thich Nhat Hanh says, we are interbeing, or we inter-are, not only with each other as humans, but with all living creatures, with our planet. We inter-are, and everything we do in our life has a result. That is really the teaching of karma and interbeing, right? Everything we do in our thoughts and our words and our actions, everything has a result. And so it's wise to pay attention to what we do, because we want the best of results for both ourselves and for others in the world. I was thinking about how we cultivate wisdom. And I think we really cultivate wisdom by first just living a life, even if we never had a particular kind of meditation practice, yoga practice. I think for most people, wisdom arises out of living. We get to see what works, what doesn't work, what happens for people, how the sage begins to come to life inside of us as we move in a life, what becomes important, how the sage is not ruffled by everything. I might think about myself, my younger self, and myself now, and I would be more easily ruffled. I would worry more. I would self-doubt more. And now I have a different relationship. I'm not all ripe, but I could feel the wisdom that has grown inside. And then we have this beautiful vehicle, this beautiful body. And really there is a wisdom in the body that we can listen to. It tells us when there's too much. It tells us when we need more. It tells us if we've eaten well. It tells us if we're in a healthy environment. It tells us, actually, if our thoughts are toxic. The body, if we're listening, has great wisdom. And so there is the listening within that matters. And so I find it so beneficial to take this kind of time for concentrated practice. So this strengthens the muscle, right? It strengthens the muscle of paying attention. It strengthens the muscle of being kind, because there's choices, our choice to just dedicate this time to being fully present. Sylvia's instruction of may I meet this moment fully, may I meet it as a friend, really does speak of the whole of the path. May I meet this moment fully. That means May I meet whatever is here from that place of wisdom, seeing clearly, and an openness of heart, which then may I meet it as a friend means may I meet it with a warmth and a tenderness, a kindness and a compassion. And so we'll move today. We'll sit for a while. We'll hopefully do some breathing practice. But as we move in the body, I'll often ask you to allow your own internal knowing of how the body should move. I'll invite you into some poses, then invite you into exploration and play and a really deep listening to the body. So let's begin. We already have begun. So if you would, find a way to sit comfortably, right? Whether you sit on the edge of a cushion or a blanket, some of us need to sit in a chair. You might, for today, like to have a yoga strap or some kind of a belt or something with you, right? And then just take a few breaths. I'm just feeling right now how sweet it is to just imagine all of you there participating with me. We're in this together. We're in this practice together. We're in this world together. Ah. You might like to close your eyes and simply take a few long breaths. As we invoke the spirit of wisdom and compassion, invoke the spirit of love. Because really, when we're in the place of wisdom and compassion, we are in the infinite, infinite energy of love. And then take a few moments as you sit there to just allow your body to shift and stretch a little bit on its own. Not a big deal. Mm. 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 Until you invite the body to find its place in the center. Mm. Inviting a sense of groundedness as the sitting bones reach down to the earth. And as you inhale, you might begin to feel how that energy of the earth rises right up through the sitting bones and right up through the central channel, right up through the crown. The crown opens. Invite a sense of opening in the crown. And the softening. As we take a few moments to take inventory, meet whatever's here in all of the sheaths, the bodies that are interbeing, the multi-dimensions of our being. And so you just feel how your breath continues to breathe, but through the breath you feel into this physicality. And as awareness comes to that crown, and you just simply allow awareness to come down into the muscles of the face. And it really is a meeting of what's here, not so much needing to change. You might notice that by simply bringing awareness, there might happen a bit of a softening. But it becomes an interesting inquiry as awareness travels down right into the jaw. If you invited the jaw to relax a little bit and the tongue to relax inside the mouth. All these subtle ways that a life shows up in a body. And then continue to let that open awareness come down to the throat and the shoulders. You might notice as you bring awareness there, there's a sense of the breath breathing this body. An invitation, if there's any unnecessary holding, to just soften what can soften. Space for things to be without a need to change, but just an invitation for spaciousness. Really for love. Get to see where we may have closed the lens a little bit. Can we open the lens to wisdom, compassion, a little more? And then let your awareness continue down through the torso. Again, this interesting inquiry. You might notice as the awareness is in the torso that it's not only the front of the physical body, but there's the back of the body, the sides of the body, the inner body. And resting there, you might feel how as this breath breathes this body, there's an expanding and contracting. The arms might become slowly involved a little bit, just quite on their own. And then bring awareness down through the arms. And the hands, the back of the hands, the palms of the hands. You just notice what you aren't aware of. Sometimes I become aware of a sense of enlivening or a sense of expansion. Boundaries of the hands soften. You might notice that or something else. And then as you breathe, take the breath right up from the hands, through the arms and shoulders, down the torso, down towards the pelvic area, the lower abdomen and the sacral area and all the internal organs. And then awareness flows down through the legs. You might notice where the whole bottom part of the body is touching whatever you're sitting upon, where it's not. And anything else you're aware of. And then down to the feet, the tops and the bottom of the feet. And then if you would, just let your breath breathe and feel into your whole body. And you notice how the breath breathes this body, the quality of breath, inventory in this breath and energy body. So interesting to come into the more subtle ways we experience ourselves. Mm. And that viewpoint from the breath also invites us to see the mind and feel into the heart, the fluctuations of thoughts, the feeling tone of the emotions. Mm. And recognizing it from that place of the witness or loving awareness. Mm. Mm. And then from that place, may we remind ourselves that there is a place, a safe harbor always, where wisdom lives. And so if you'd like to join me in these refuge, or sometimes spoken of as the three jewels. So from now until I fully awaken, I vow to take refuge in loving awareness, my true home. Pause for a moment to touch into home here. Mm. And I vow to take refuge in the path of loving awareness, the road that leads me home. Mm. This brings me to a place of gratitude for all of the beautiful teachings, practices that help to bring me into an experience of home, awake, peace, love. Mm. And I vow to take refuge in the Sangha, my teachers, my friends, my spiritual family, those who aspire to live awake and free. And so we think about, or we bring to our heart and mind, our community, those who have inspired us, those who hold us up, those in this life and beyond. And so I take refuge. Mm. And then to remind myself to continue to cultivate that awakened heart, the bodhicitta. I remind myself from now until all beings experience themselves as liberation, I will bring benefit and kindness to all. So that really asks me to pay attention to how I speak and how I act, and how can I help. Mm. So for these next few minutes, we'll sit with breath. We'll sit with all that is, really, and to inspire you in how this breath invites us into the infinite. I'll read a little bit from the Radiant Sutras. Hmm. Breath flows in, breath flows out, traveling always the curving path of the goddess. breath flows spontaneously of its own will. Thus, all breathing beings continually give reverence to her, the infinite, to love itself. Be conscious of this unconscious prayer, for she is the most holy place of pilgrimage. She wishes for you to enter this temple, where each breath is adoration of the infinite for the incarnate form. Each breath is adoration of the infinite for the incarnate form. Each breath is a doorway to wisdom. So rest back in this seat, steady and comfortable. That is at its natural peace and ease. It's wonderful instruction from a teacher of Sylvia's. I think it's Ajahn Amaro who says, assume the natural peace and ease of the body-mind. That is the body-mind's natural peace and ease. And stay that way. Only pay attention to when you move away. So that's a place of wisdom, seeing when we move away from what is already the natural peace and ease. Please take a moment to align with your personal intention for this time. Just allow the breath to invite you back to feeling back into this body. Deepen the breath. And then take a moment or two to let the body shift and move and release in its own way from sitting. So that really is listening deeply. What does the wisdom of this body want now for just a few moments? And now, if you would, if you're not sitting, come back to sitting. Come to the edge of your seat, and then we'll just do one pose, yin pose today. Slide your feet away. As you know, this is a wonderful pose after sitting. It helps decompress the spine. It continues the inward turning. So you have a little diamond shape, and there's a little rock in the pelvis. And then gently let your spine round down. Don't worry how far it goes, right? This is, the body finds its natural alignment. So we're not using the muscles so much. But allowing your body to be held by the bones, right? So you pay attention to find the appropriate pressure or the appropriate edge. Any more too much, any less not enough. And of course, those edges change. And then we scan around the body, scan around to see if there are any unnecessary tensions, because this is an invitation for the muscles to be passive. So relaxed, but passive means we're not engaging them. And when you find a place where there's unnecessary tension, that's wonderful that you found that. That's information, that's wisdom to then know, oh, there's a tension there. Not that you've done it wrong or, oh, I'm always so tight, but oh, sweetheart, there's a tension. What if you just take a breath? As you exhale, relax what you can. And we pay attention because our whole life is here in this body. And we feel what we feel because every experience has a result, and sometimes there are undigested tensions, undigested stories. So a willingness to live fully here in this body, and then to meet it with a kindness. And then if the body opens and you go a little further, you just go a little further. Everything becomes a little experiment. Remember, there's never a sharp or intense searing. If that's the case, just pull off a little bit. We're finding the place that is appropriate, place where we can tolerate, allowing the container to grow bigger. And now come into the rhythm of your breath. I think most of us are familiar with Ujjayi breath. It's a little contraction in the back of the throat. You'll hear a little, they call a sonorous sound, or you might think of it as an ocean's wave. And allows you to slow the breath down. If you don't know it or can't find it, just a gentle rhythmic breath. And then you count the rhythm of your breath, which means as you inhale, you find the count. 1 ohm, 2 ohm, 3 ohm. See where the inhale goes. And then let the exhale match it. Or sometimes I let it grow a count longer. As you do, notice how as you breathe, there's a natural way the breath fills and expands the body, and it's kind of bobs up a little and back down on the exhale without you doing anything. The breath breathes you, and you're aware. Breathing in, I'm aware of breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware of breathing out. Breathing in, I feel the body expanding. And breathing out, I'm aware of the body relaxing. So meet your moment with wisdom. And you might tell yourself with the breath what's happening from that place of clear seeing. Hmm. These last few moments, just explore if the body wants to shift a little further or less. Hmm. And to release, bring your hands to the earth and walk your hands towards the torso as the torso comes up. Bring your hands behind you. You can just lean back into them, stretch your legs out. Just kind of even sink into those shoulders a little bit. And close your eyes, take a breath. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, just let it go with a little sigh. And if the body feels taxed, just bring your awareness and breath there. And then simply let your body shift a little bit in response. Listen to the body's wisdom. It might be a little rocking back and forth or arcing. Maybe the head rocks. Just explore just a few moments. You cannot do this wrong. There is a wisdom far greater than the mind. And then over the next few moments, find a way to bring yourself back up to sitting. Let the legs cross and notice how you feel now. And then we'll just warm the body up a little bit. I'll give a little guidance and then invite you again to explore movement. So I'll do that throughout our time together. So as you bring your hands on your knees, just begin to let a little bit of a circling motion happen with the torso. And by, the circle might get a little bit bigger, and the torso might twist a little and arc a little. And notice if you can coordinate your breath. And at some point, begin to let the circles find a place to turn around. And again, let it be very organic. Somewhere in the middle, you might even find it pauses and twists a little bit. So let these gentle warm-ups evolve inside you from that listening to the body's wisdom. Take another breath or two. See where your body wants to take you. And if there's sound, there's sound. It's a natural expression. It's not that we're creating sound, but it happens as we move in the body. And then over the next few moments, again, come to sitting in the center. Close your eyes for a moment and notice how you feel. Notice what you're aware of now. If you would please now release from sitting and come on to your hands and knees. So your knees are just about below your hips and your hands under your shoulders. And then just begin to kind of wag your tail a little bit from right to left. And then as your hips wag to the right, let your right ear go to the right. And then as you inhale, bring it to center and then wag the other way. And then let your breath find your movement. And then bring that back to the center. And then please take your right hand out to the side a little bit. And then stretch your left hand out and walk that arm through for thread the needle. I like to press into the hand on the earth to kind of help reach the twist a little bit. And then close your eyes again and feel how the breath and movement kind of ease you in and out of the twist. You might even like to lift that arm and let it again explore space through the wisdom of the body. Ah. And then bringing the hand back to the earth, bringing the torso to center, and then walking the left hand out to the side and thread the other way. Take that moment to ease in a little bit. And if you like, reaching the other arm up and exploring a little bit. And then bringing the hand back to the earth. And then press the buttocks back. And as you walk your hands away, just let your hands press into the earth and wobble the hips so that it feels so right. And now look at your hands, make sure they're shoulders width apart, wrists aligned with the front of the mat. Come up onto your hands and knees, draw your shoulders down, tuck your toes, and pop your knees off the ground. With your shoulders down, press back into a beginning downward dog. So you're pressing from your hands way up through your hips. And as you feel the breath, there's again that natural movement. There's like a little wave action happening from the belly through the torso. And you can walk one heel down and then the other. So explore, experiment your way into this downward dog. Breath big and full. And then look through your hands. Walk your feet up towards your hands. Bring them about hip apart and then allow your torso to dangle down. You might just like to hold on to your elbows or around your legs or the floor. Your knees might like to bend a little bit or they might be straight. But bending them is another way to experiment. Creates a little more space in the lower back. And then scan around and relax what you can. Any little micro movements here, of course. Maybe the head just shakes no and then yes. And then to release, soften your knees. Do this easily. Bring your hands above on your thighs. Lengthen your spine. Rise on up. Close your eyes as you come to standing. And feel now. And then right now, just as we did before, ask the body if there's any little movement that's needed. Listen again to the body's wisdom. And then if you would like to join me, bring your feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. Get grounded and long. And then just begin to let the shoulders roll. And then one shoulder and the other. Just let it happen again, quite organically. Both arms. And then if you can, take your hands behind your back and interlace. This would be a place where if you have a tie and would like to use a tie, get hold. And then roll the shoulders back, stretch out through the fingertips, through the knuckles really. Lift the arms up. And take a few breaths here right into the heart space. So reaching back and reaching up. Ah. Again, maybe a little micro movement here, a rocking or a stretching, a little twisting. And now soften the knees, lift the sitting bones, hinge at the hips. And if this is appropriate for you, let your body come forward. If you have high blood pressure, don't let the head go further than parallel to the floor. Otherwise, take a breath and lengthen out and let the torso come down and the arms come up. Standing Yoga Mudra. Really a bowing down to the earth, to the goddess. A letting go of what we're not needing. Reaching through the fingertips and letting the arms come overhead a little more if possible. Again, little micro movements, maybe through the head and the neck. Sitting bones might lift or the knees might soften. Explore for just another few breaths. And to release, soften your knees as if the angel's hands were holding your hands and lifting the torso back up. Release the hands, release the tie. Whew, your hands might feel like they're floating. So go with that and go with that breath and the adoration. The breath is the adoration to the infinite. And let the wisdom of the body flow through you for a few moments. Any little movement the body needs. Be willing to really listen deeply. And feel if there are feelings or joys or tears arising. Feel that. Everything lives here. Good. And one hand then on your heart, one on your tender belly. Take a moment. The inner being here. And please, once again, open your eyes. And take a look that your feet are about hip width apart. So you feel the frontal hip bones. Grounded and long. As you inhale, extend your arms out. And as you exhale, draw your shoulder blades on your back. Take another breath. And as you exhale, just send your sitting bones back into a little seat. And inhale, rise back up. And as you exhale, sitting back as if sitting in a chair, your torso comes forward just a little bit. Once again. And this time we'll stay a little bit. So find a place that is doable. Taking your seat here. There's strength growing in the legs. And even here there's little movement. Maybe the arms express themselves differently, maybe overhead or cactus arms. They might flow with breath. Even as sensations grow, we know we could meet this life. This is what's happening. What will happen next? Maybe the body goes in a little bit further. Take another few breaths, sink in. And then to release, press down into the earth. Release the arms down. Pause for a moment, one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. If there's any little spontaneous movement, allow for that. They might be small or big movements. And then please, as the flow shows itself to you, it's like little flows and big flows. Life happens and we go with the flow. Life happens and we go with the flow. And then bringing it back to the center with your feet a little wider than your hips. Take a breath and hinge down. Bend your knees. Bring your hands to the floor. Drop your hips. And rock a little bit back and forth in a squat, just to open up the hips a little bit. And then as you rock to one side, press both the knees away. Just experiment and play a little bit on your own again. And then go the other way. Mm. And then bring it to the center with a wide stance. See if you can get into a squat. Sometimes you take a blanket behind my heels or widen the stance a little more. And if that's too much, you can squat from here, of course. Right? You can bring it up a little or come all the way down. Your elbows can come inside. Your hands can be in prayer. Or they can be open, all these mudras. And let your hands find their own mudras, their own way of saying, I'm open, I'm here. Mm. These little signs, and they may be traditional mudras or just your own. Mm. And then bring your hands in prayer, press the elbows out, open up, take 2 or 3 breaths up and down the central channel. And then release by bringing your hands to the floor, bring them behind you, come down to sitting, and then gradually come onto your back. As you come onto your back, bring your hands around your knees and begin to allow just first a little hug of gratitude. And then in a natural way, the knees will circle. Get me my shawl. Hmm. And then circle the knees, one direction and the other. And then ask the wisdom of the body, what's needed now? Is there any other movement? Perhaps draw in one knee, draw in the other. Maybe a little twist. Follow. Follow that. Hmm. Dare to follow the wisdom of what's needed. Feel the breath as a mover, the energy guiding you home again and again. Hmm. Hmm. Take another few moments and really set an intention. Ask, is there anything still needed? And let the body's wisdom show you that. It is the infinite speaking through you as you. It is love speaking through you as you. And now, allow your body to find a way to take rest. Set an intention. And then watch how your body finds the earth. Cover yourself if you need it, something to cover your eyes. Perhaps something under your legs. And then when the body comes down onto the ground, let's take a few moments just to feel the body splay out, find a place. And take a few moments to come in touch with breathing and how your body's being breathed. Now let's play with the breath a little bit. So as you inhale, let there be a full breath in. And then as you exhale, we'll exhale in thirds. Exhale from the chest, and then pause for 2 counts. And then exhale the ribs. Pause for 2 counts. And then squeeze out the breath from the belly. Pause for 2 counts. And then take another big breath in. Pause at the top. And then release from the chest. 2 counts. Release the ribs. 2 counts. Release the belly. Squeeze it out. And then take 2 breaths in between. And then do another series of 2 that way on your own. So full breath in, and then release in 3 parts, and pause 2 counts in between each place. Chest, ribs, and belly. When you've done those 2 rounds, take 2 full breaths in and out. And then a big breath in, hold it at the top. And then squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the face, drag the shoulders up. Hold, hold, hold. Sip in a little more. And then exhale, let it go. Let your body stretch for just a little bit. And then let it come to stillness, to come to rest. Just let it all go. Be held here by the earth, by the great Mother Gaia. And as we began earlier, just a gentle scan around and relax what you can. And just be. Let all doing fall away. And rest. Rest in the arms of love itself. Wisdom and compassion. Trayambakam yajamahe Sugandim pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva bandhanam Mrityormukshyamamritat Swaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityormukshyamamritat Swaha. Om. So, as you hear the sound of the bell and the sound of my voice, just allow the sense doors to open a little bit, inviting you back into the body. As you feel the breath move, and you begin to invite some organic movement once again through the body's wisdom. And then gradually draw the knees in, roll to one side. And rest there for a few moments, really being held in your own arms and the arms of this precious body. And as we spoke about wisdom, and I share this with you from the Sage's Tao Te Ching. The sage no longer strives to make the world a better place. Thus it becomes better and better. No longer worries about self-improvement. Thus improves daily. No longer seeks to control other people. Thus receives love and trust from all. No longer tampers with things. Thus sees all things unfold as they should, to take their place in the natural order of life. Don't mistake the sage's serenity for passivity. We have not given up on important issues. We now no longer attempt to change that which cannot be changed. We no longer ignore that which can be changed. And we finally have the wisdom to know the difference. So take a moment to acknowledge that that sage wisdom lives here for you. And then gradually press into your hands and find your way back up to sitting. Take your seat, grounded and long, and wriggle right into your seat. And allow the eyes to close. Take a few breaths and feel where you are, the gift of your practice, your presence, your patience, a willingness to open to wisdom and compassion. Mm. The experience of you now in this body, mind, and heart. Mm. And take a moment and reflect on our time together, this inquiry, willingness to touch into the wisdom of body. And notice the highlights, the insights. And then drop in a little deeper to wisdom itself. And as you sit with her, with him, listen. As you ask, given all that's happened here and given my life, given the world, what is it I need to know now? And then listen for the wisdom just for you right now. What is it I need to know? What is it I need to do? And then trust whatever you hear. It might be a word, a sentence, it might be volumes, it might be a feeling. And those of you who have a journal, you might like to write a few notes, or else just sit with the wisdom. Mm. And then please, we come back together and take a moment for gratitude. It's so important. Amidst all challenges, there is gratitude for this blessed life, gratitude for all of the gifts, gratitude for wisdom, knowing, and compassion, and all the beings in our lives. Hmm. And then we can do this. We can dedicate any merit we may have received today to the awakening and to the freedom and the justice, equality. May we dedicate this practice to reach all beings, but particularly those who are in need, those who are struggling. May this reach out to touch them, all hearts without one exception, so that all might know happiness and the root of happiness. May all be free of all suffering and struggling and the root of suffering. All beings, omitting none. Mm. And if you'd like to join me before we completely close, we'll chant Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. We'll start with the sound of Om, chant it 3 times, and end with Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And this too, in the chant, is a way of dedicating this for peace and goodwill to all. So let's take a breath and begin with the sound of Om. Om. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. As we bring our hands in prayer, may there be peace, joy, love, and light, and enough, and equality, and justice, and love for all. Jai Bhagwan, everyone. Thank you for joining me. May you have a blessed day.